Hello there, my name is Louis Daigle and I welcome you back to my vlog on public speaking. Today I want to talk about something important that is too often overlooked when speaking both in public and in private conversations. And that is the power of intonations, silences, and the modulation of your volume. Indeed, these three will give you a very distinct style, and above that, they can make your speech or presentation more powerful and give your text great clarity. Neglecting these three can rob your speech or presentation from great effects, liveliness, emotion, and audience connection. First, let me give you a simple example of how the same words said in the same order, thus the same sentence, but with the accent placed differently, will end up having a totally different meaning. Have you heard the sentence, "I never said you had stolen the apple"? Now, watch how putting the accent on different words will totally change the meaning of what I say. So here I go. I never said you had stolen the apple. Oh, maybe it's Esther that did. I never said you had stolen the apple. Oh, maybe I just wrote a note about it. I never said you had stolen the apple. No, I said it was Jennifer. I never said you had stolen the apple. Oh, I just said you had taken it, thinking it was yours. I never said you had stolen the apple. Oh no, but I told about the $5 bill next to it that you took. Now, isn't it amazing how many misunderstandings can happen in life just because of wrong intonations? So of course, when you're giving a speech or presentation, you can't neglect the power of intonation, because as you walk down from the stage, it's already too late to correct yourself. So if you're not used to speak with a lot of modulation in your intonation, you will have to practice it. It's like a muscle, it needs some exercise. And your practice will gain, of course, by being in front of a friend, someone to give you feedback. They should be able to tell you if your intonations contribute to the clarity and understanding of your text or not. Another way of verifying is to film yourself and see how you would understand your text if you were in the audience. The intonations come from the pitch of your voice, as in high and low notes in music. Example, I never said, or I never said. Another variation that you must be aware and control, because it can enrich your speech, is volume. For example, you can use a low volume, a soft voice when you get to a part of your speech about something sad, or you want to create the effect, the feeling that you are telling them something very personal. As when my mother died, my business failed, and I got COVID. I thought it was the end. You see, just because I'm speaking with a lower volume, it draws your attention. In all those instances, you should learn to play with the volume of your voice to make it noticeably lower. Of course, within the limit of remaining audible. Again, practicing in front of someone or a camera will be very instructive. Lowering the volume of your voice can be used just to draw the attention of your audience on what you will be saying right after. and the effect will be real if the change in volume is evident. But of course, you will not have the constant and devoted attention of your audience if you speak at a low volume for 6 straight minutes. It's the variation that creates the effect, not just the low volume. At the opposite end of the spectrum, you can use a higher volume to communicate different emotions. Of course, you will use this with caution. For example, going instantly from a very low volume to a very loud one can turn out to be very disturbing and unpleasant for the audience. Now, a third powerful tool you should use for great effects is silences. Indeed, silences are as important and powerful in speaking as they are in music. It's been said that silences are the canvas on which notes are placed to create masterpieces. Silences contribute to the rhythm of the melodies, contribute to the emotion, allow for the music and the musicians to breathe. In the same way, silences will be very useful and powerful in public speaking. Musicians that are able to fully use the power of silences in their music performance are perceived as confident, powerful, and talented. And I say the same holds true for public speakers. In fact, silences are so powerful that you should always start a speech or presentation with one. Standing calmly, quietly, breathing in deeply, sinking in the presence of your audience, looking at them and smiling, makes you very human, present, and look solid. Queen Elizabeth II is said to have used it many times, commanding rapt audiences and inspiring admiration. Even during speeches and presentations, silences are again useful and powerful. But here again, speakers often miss the target by ignoring them. How many times have I heard speakers ask a question with the obvious intention of inviting the audience to reflect on something, and only to continue speaking without skipping a breath? Well, the net effect is that the question becomes useless. People in the audience not only had no time to reflect and answer the question in their minds, but were totally distracted by the speaker himself or herself, who never stopped speaking to them. Speakers will do this either out of pure clumsiness or lack of awareness, or because, like many, are so nervous and scared up there that they can't tolerate any silence while they're at the microphone. You should really tame silences during speeches and use them as friends and useful tools. They can give air, space to your audience. They help them relax and enjoy the moment and think. Silences used smartly make you look powerful and in command. Your audience loves that, loves you to be in command. So, in the example of the speaker asking a question with no break, no pause, no time for the audience to think, it is a great opportunity lost. No intended effect, nothing. When you think about it, it's almost impolite. Another use of the silences is in the form of pauses that serve as a great break between a story, for example, and the moral of the story, that you are then able to present with all of its weight to support your argument. Let me illustrate with this example. It's in the form of a little story, and here it goes. An old man decides to go out in town for a walk. The weather is beautiful. So he walks down the road and passes by this big construction site. He sees a young mason on his knees, putting mortar on a row of bricks, and then bricks on the mortar. Out of curiosity, he stops and asks, "Hello, young man. May I ask what you're doing here?" And the young man simply answers, "Oh, I'm just starting to build this brick wall." No more. So the old man says, "Oh, well," he continues with his walk. A little further down the road, he passes by a second mason, 6 feet up on a scaffold, also building a wall and taking measurements with a level and strings. And curious again, the old man asks, "Hello, young man, may I ask you what you're doing here?" The young mason answers that he's building a wall that has to go up 15 feet high, and that he has to check the level all the way up to make sure that it stays straight. "Oh, interesting," said the old man before going his way again. Now, a little further down the road, he starts to hear someone whistling and singing. The sound gets louder as he walks, and that's where he sees a third young mason doing the same work as the other two. So curious about this enthusiasm, energy, and apparent happiness, our old man can't resist the temptation to ask, "Hello, young man, may I ask you what you're doing here?" And the young mason stops, turns and looks at the old man with a big smile on his face and says, "I'm building the house of God." That's when the old man realized it was a cathedral they were building. Now, which of the three masons is the happiest on the job? Which of the three will have the most energy and productivity? Which of the three feels the most fulfilled walking back home after work? Which of the three is the proudest of his work, do you think? I'm pretty sure we'd all bet on the third one. But really, why? Well, our third young mason is the only one with a big goal, something much bigger than himself, something that sounds very significant to him. That, my friends, is the power of meaningful goals. End of my story. Now, did you hear my silences? The first one served to create some anticipation to hear the third mason's answer to the old man's question. The young guy looked and sounded so happy. Had he won the lottery? Had he become a new father that very day? What was he really doing to be so happy and energized? Having the audience wait for the answer a little bit at that moment has the audience on the edge of their seats. And then I included another break, and that's after asking the question, but really, why? In other words, was he so religious? Was he excited to be working on such a big building? And what about the other possibilities I mentioned a few minutes ago? I wanted my audience to have time and try figuring out where I was headed with my story. And then I used another pause in the middle of my conclusion. That, my friends, is the power of meaningful goals. It puts a great accent on the conclusion. Now that's entertaining. That's the power of silences, pauses, breaks, if you will. So if you enjoyed this vlog, like it and subscribe so you make sure you don't miss what's coming up, because there's a lot coming up, believe me. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.